doing the Mangalacharan.
Ashwin, do the Mangalacharan, please, and read the text. Today we are on 2.2.6.
Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mayam Tadanti Swapadantikam Vandeyam Shri Gurun Shri Utapatakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavam Shcha Shri Rupam Sakrajadam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam tam sajivam Satvedam Svavadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishyakanvitam Shya He Krishna Karuna Sindho Deenabandho Jagatpate Kopisha Kopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishavanushtute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanjakalpatarubhyascha Kirpa Sindhu Vacha Patitanam Pavanibhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So today we are reading Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 2, verse 6. So I'll do some prayer and then we can start with reading the verse and then the translation until Mataji joins us. She's joining from India, so she will be there. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yatkripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dina Taranam Paramananda Madhavam Krishna Chaitanya Ishwaram Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nastapayeshu Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavati Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Slokir Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. So, text 6. Evam sachitte sevata eva siddha atma priyotho bhagavan anantah tam nivritto niyatartho bhajeta samsara hetu paramascha. Translation. Thus being fixed, one must render service unto the super soul situated in one's heart by his omnipotency, because he is the almighty personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited. He is the ultimate goal of life, and by worshipping him, one can end the course of the conditioned state of existence. Mataji has joined, so I will hand over to Mataji unless you want me to read the purport. Hare Krishna, Panchali Mataji. Hare Krishna, Panchali Mataji.
Hare Krishna Mataji,
Hare
Dandavat.
Krishna. How are you doing, Mataji?
I'm okay, Mataji. Yeah, not okay. It's not perfect,
Thank
but
you.
I'm okay. But just had to rush to, India. So please accept my humble obeisances, all of you.
Yes, go ahead, Mataji. I have already read the text and the translation. If you want to
Yeah,
read it
right.
again,
Okay, all
so you
right,
can
okay.
read it again.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you very much, Mataji. Thank you very much,
Hare Krishna.
Mataji and Prabhuji, for giving me the opportunity to serve my Guruji and serve all the Gurujis and senior devotees, serve Radha and Krishna, and serve all of you once again. So thank you very much for doing that. Apologies in advance. I mean, I'm going through, there's a bit of an emergency going on at my end. So I haven't been able to prepare as I would normally do. So any mistakes I make, please do correct me. I will share a little bit around my thoughts on this verse, and I think there will be and then I'll open it up for further discussions today, for us all to reflect and discuss on, if that is okay. And should we have any questions, we can discuss that together. So again, apologies because if I'm going wrong anywhere today, because I haven't been able to prepare much. I'll just quickly read the text, just the translation once again, and just the text and translation once again. So it's and you have you done the Mangalacharan, Mataji?
Yes, Ashwin has done, Mataji.
Okay, thank you very much, Prabhuji Mataji. Okay, so I'll read the text once again. So Srimad Bhagavatam 2.2.6 Evam Swachitta Swata Eva Siddha Atma Priyortha Artha Bhagavan Anantaha Tam Nirvito Nitya Tartha Bhajeta Samsara Hetu Paramascha Yatra. Translation: Thus being fixed, one must render service unto the Supersoul situated in one's own heart by his omnipotency, because he is the Almighty Personality of Godhead, eternal and unlimited. He is the ultimate goal of life, and by worshipping him, one can end the cause of the conditioned state of existence. Hare Krishna. Okay, so we are we are into the second chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam. So before we come into this verse, a quick recap of what we have been going through so far. So in chapter 1, we have seen how Sukdev Goswami takes us through the first step of realizing the Supreme Lord, and of his existence, and of how we can relate to the Supreme Lord, and how we can see that everything is the Supreme Lord and he's present everywhere. And we've also been introduced to the Virat Rupa of the Supreme Lord. So Brahmaji, Lord Brahma, created the universe, meditating on the Virat form of the Lord, and how we see how Sukdev Goswami related each body part of the Lord to the various parts of creation, making us understand that nothing that we see around us is above or beyond the Lord. Everything is contained in him, everything is within him, and everything is him, and we are all part of that. We've also seen how Sukdev Goswami has also encouraged materialists, or all those who want to meditate on the impersonal form of the Lord, how Sukdev Goswami has encouraged them through the Virat form, slowly come from the feet towards upwards, going from, connecting with the Lord's hands and the various parts of nature, the various forms of nature, to coming into personality, how the Lord has been made to be understood as a very, very personal Lord, a very, very individualistic Lord, a Lord who connects with us one-to-one. So all of that, in the first realization of God, all of that we have come to know in chapter 1. Chapter 2 is called The Lord in Our Heart, and it starts with how people should endeavor to realize that we don't really have to look far to find God. And it starts with how people should endeavor for the minimum necessities of life. In the first couple of verses, in the first few up until verse 3, and then in verses 4 and 5, it is further expanded into, what these bare necessities of life could be. How, instead of spending a lot of money on unnecessary things, how people can live with a minimum, bare minimum, or in any part or any section or anything in their life, how people can reduce the extra comfort that many of us indulge in, and just live within using the bare necessities of life. So this was expanded in verses 4 and 5. And now we come to our verse today, which is verse 6, and that starts by describing the main message of this whole chapter. And that is that the Lord is in everyone's heart. Okay, so that is where we should start finding the Lord. And what is the importance of that? Why is it important to understand that not only the Lord is in our heart, but what are the implications of that, and why is that so? Okay, and the three main points that we can see coming out of the verse, the translation, is that yes, the Lord is in all of our hearts. Secondly, he is the ultimate goal of our lives. And thirdly, by worshipping him, one can end this conditional state of existence. Okay, so these are the three things that Prabhupada wants us to understand from Sukdev Goswami's message to Parikshit Maharaj. And Prabhupada starts his purport by reminding us of Bhagavad Gita 18.661, where Lord Krishna tells Arjuna that Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Rite Se Arjuna Tistati Brahmayam Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudani Mayaya, meaning the Supreme Lord is situated in everyone's heart, O Arjuna, and is directing the wanderings of all living entities who are seated or as on a machine made of the material energy. So this is something that Arjuna hears from the Lord in the 18th chapter, in the concluding chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. After all the philosophy of all of that is mentioned. And it's interesting to note that this is a conclusion being given to Arjuna after the Virat Roop or the Vishwaroop rather is shown to Arjuna, and then there is this conclusion that I am in everybody's heart. And as soon as a living entity, based on the previous karma, based on the jiva's desire, as soon as a living entity is given a type of body, he has to work under the spell of that bodily situation. But whichever body he gets, there is the Lord inside him, and who is dictating. So a person, the soul remains unchanged, as we know. The soul is eternal and it remains the same, but it takes up different bodies, different times in its different birth. So if the same soul is in an ant's body, and the same soul is in an elephant's body, or the same soul is in a human body, automatically they would be acting in different ways. So if a soul who is in an ant's body wants to run as fast as the soul who's in, as a cheetah, they won't be able to do. Maybe in a former life, that same soul was in the body of a cheetah, where they were able to run faster, whereas in the body of an ant, they are not able to do that. But the soul remains the same. The soul remains the same, but because they are in that body is being directed and it has been given to them by the Lord. So everything that happens to that soul, whichever body they get, however they do it, whatever they do, everything is being dictated by the Lord within them, okay, who has given them that body, which in turn is able to make them do what they are able to do and are capable of doing in that form of life. So the living entity is never ever independent, despite the fact they might think that, I am independent and, I am the master. But as we have studied in the previous verses and in the previous chapter, as soon as one enters into this material world, they are constantly dictated by the three modes of material nature. So we as humans, we might think that, we are in charge and we can do this and we can do that, but it is not possible. We are constantly and completely and totally being dictated by the external energy of the Lord, Maya, and we are not independent. So we have to realize that, as Krishna has also, and we've heard about it when reading the Bhagavad Gita as well, that there are those two birds in our heart. One is the super soul, the other is the jiva, the soul. And the super soul is just the witness. He is there, he's the witness. And everything that is done, everything that the jiva, that the soul wants to do, needs to be sanctioned by that super soul before a jiva can do anything. Even if you want to raise our hand, it has to be sanctioned, just moving our hand, that needs to be sanctioned by the super soul. So this is the first lesson we need to internalize, we need to understand that we are not independent. The Lord is extremely kind in letting us do what we want to do. If we have enough sukriti, the Lord allows us and gives us that free will to be able to use that sukriti and do whatever we want to do. But at the end of the day, we are still very much under the rule of the super soul, under the rule of the three modes of nature and of Maya. So this is the first thing that we are being told in this verse, that we are not independent. The Lord is within us, the Lord is in our hearts, and we have to understand that we are not independent, that the Lord is really being very merciful in allowing us to do certain things, but at the same time, we won't be able to do anything and everything. We won't be able to change the direction in which the sun rises, because that is not possible, even if the jiva wants it. So that is not possible. So that is the first thing we have to understand. Now, the second point given to us is that the ultimate goal of our life is to understand that worshipping Krishna or rather surrendering to Krishna. That is the ultimate goal of our life. Now, even before we look at the tattva of it, the philosophy of all of these things, in all of our learnings through our journey of whatever, little bit we are learning from the various Krishna classes, or from senior devotees, our gurujis, or other devotees, even before we get into the philosophy, we see so many examples, either real life examples or from the past times of, how the Lord is within our heart, knows everything, and is happy when we remember him. We get so many examples which allows us and gives us the opportunity to understand the philosophy so much better. So through the Bhagavad Gita, we've been told by Krishna of all the instructions. He's given us all the instructions, and right at the end, in chapter 18 again, he says, Sarvadharman Parityajan Mamikam Sharanam Vraja, just surrender unto me. And he gives that philosophy, he gives that truth to Arjuna. And then in Srimad Bhagavatam, we see so many examples of whether we see Gajendra, who surrenders to the Lord, and the Lord rushes to him, forgetting everything. Even Garuda was wondering as to why the Lord was rushing to Gajendra so fast. We see how so many devotees, whether it's Jagai and Madai in the Chaitanya Lila, surrendering to the Lord, and the Lord comes to their, the Lord forgives them. But also we see other examples of how the Lord understands what we even think. And how does the Lord understand how what we think? That is because the Lord is in our heart, and the Lord knows everything. So during the Ras Leela, when the gopis were starting to feel a bit proud, the Lord immediately vanished, because there is only one place where there is pride, there is no place for love. Where there is love, there is no place for ego. So as soon as there was a bit of pride in the hearts of the gopis, thinking that, I am the person and the Lord is dancing only with me, the Lord vanishes from there. And how does the Lord understand that? Because the Lord is in the heart of each and every single of those gopis. So we don't even have to tell Krishna what is going on. He knows everything. We've heard of that very popular pastime where there was one devotee who once asked how, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think if I'm going wrong anywhere in this pastime, but where a devotee asked the Lord once that I was feeling ill, and I had to go to my near and dear ones, and somehow I was feeling very ill and I wasn't able to go. I somehow reached there, and I was taken care of by my near and dear ones. But where were you? Why didn't you take care of me? Why you always say you're always with me, and I'm never alone. So where were you when I needed you? Why weren't you there? And then the Lord shows him the footsteps on the sand. And the Lord says, can you see the footsteps on the sand? And the devotee says, yes, I can see the footsteps, one pair of footsteps, and those are mine, because somehow I have reached my near and dear one, so who has taken care of me. And the Lord says that, no, those are not your footsteps, those are my footsteps, because I was carrying you. So we can see that, the Lord, when we understand, when we believe in the fact that the Lord is always with us. The Lord tells us and shows us that he can understand every single, the tiniest bit of thought within us. He can understand our thoughts, he can understand our feelings, and he is the closest to us. So we think, we have close families and friends, but we don't realize that the one who is the closest to us is within our body, inside our hearts, and that is the Lord. So the Lord, so this is what we have to realize, and that is what the purpose is telling us through the examples again, that we have to understand that the ultimate goal of life is realizing that the God is in our hearts and serving the Lord. And serving, and this word serving is expanded quite a bit in the purport as well. Now, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, we know it's said that Jiver Swarupai Krishna Nitya Das. That is our constitutional position. Our constitutional position is to serve. Now, what is our problem? Our problem is we are serving the wrong person, the wrong people, the wrong entities. So being in this material world, we are completely engulfed with the material energy, and we identify the material objects in life to be our swarup, to be the real things. Now, as we know, as we have studied from before, that what is the, or who is the Lord? How can we define the Lord? The Lord is Sat, Chit, and Ananda, eternal knowledge and bliss. And we, as the Jivas, we are parts and parcels of that Lord, of that absolute Sat, Chit, Ananda. And because we are parts and parcel of that Sat, Chit, and Ananda, our souls, the nature of our souls is also eternal happiness, eternal knowledge and bliss, because we are maybe in smaller quantity, but it's the same. It's the same in its quality. So it is also made up of eternity. It is also made up of bliss and of knowledge. And that is the reason we understand being in this material world, whether we are believers in God, whether we are devotees, or whether we believe in any other culture, religion, faith, belief, or even if there are atheist people who do not believe in God at all. Every single jiva, whether they are in the human body or in any body, any animal form, plant form, by default, every living entity wants happiness. So even, even an animal, we see them wanting to be happy, wanting to be, to do what makes them happy, whether it's just eating something or doing something, whether it's flowering, for a tree, something that makes them happy. So by default, every living entity wants, or every living soul wants to be happy, wants that ananda from that Sat-Chit Ananda. Every living entity wants to live forever. In this material world, as Yudhishthira Maharaj was questioned by Yaksha, that what surprises you the most? And Yudhishthira Maharaj says that everybody knows that, one day we all have to die, and yet nobody wants to accept it. It comes as a surprise to everybody, no matter how much of a truth it is, how much we see that or left, right, and center all around us. Eternally, we just want to live for eternity, which is not possible in this material world. But by default, the living entity, or the soul, wants that eternity. By default, the soul wants that happiness. By default, the soul thinks, I am the knower of everything. And why is it so? That is because that is our constitutional position of the Satchitananda. But the mistake we are doing is that we are wanting and we are trying to find this eternity of wanting to be there forever. We are trying to find this happiness and this bliss and this knowledge of everything in a false world, in this material world. And rather than looking for it in the right place, we look for it in the wrong place. So if you see the example of, say, in India earlier, there used to be Tobis. Do you know what Tobis are? People who washed clothes. They used to collect dirty clothes from people's homes. They used to dump them all on the back of a donkey, take them away, wash them, and then bring them back to the householders. So this donkey would carry all that heavy load on its back every single day. And at the end of each day, this donkey would be given some grass by the master, and the donkey would be very, very happy. Now, what the donkey does not realize is that, you know, there is grass elsewhere as well. It doesn't have to be in the imprisonment of the master to be able to find that little bit of grass to keep it survive, to survive rather. Okay, so that is what the donkey does not realize. And that is because the donkey is only seeing the little world around it. And the prison that the donkey lives in, the donkey thinks that is everything. And that is, if I get that grass at the end of the day, that is my happiness. And to be able to get that grass, if I have to do a little bit of work, that's all right. So how does that translate into what we are doing as human beings? We are doing a lot of karma, we are doing a lot of work just to be able to get a bit of happiness, you know, whether the happiness comes from money to give us more comfort, whether the happiness comes from, you know, relations, our family, friends, whether it comes from work. So we want to do that. Why? Because we want to get the result which we think will give us happiness. Just like as Prabhupada has given in this purport of the mirage in a desert, where people are disillusioned in thinking that there is water. And then they in their mind, because they are so disillusioned, and this you know, like this world, like this material world, which is a world of illusion, the world of Maya. So in their disillusionment, they think that there is water. But when they approach the place in that desert, that they see that there isn't any water. So they were looking for that water in the wrong place, exactly as we are doing. We are looking for that water, the water that keeps us alive. We are looking for that happiness, that eternity, that knowledge in the wrong place, in this imprisoned life, in this prison of material life, or material world. So we can be great karmis, we can be, you know, we can do a lot of very, very charitable work. We can get a lot of very good comfort in this life. But we can even go up to Satyalok, Brahmalok, or Satyalok. But even then, one day, as soon as all our sukriti or all our good karma is utilized, there will come a time when we will fall down. And then there is no guarantee whether when we fall down, whether we will be able to get a human body or any other form of body where we wouldn't even have the consciousness to understand what our real position of life is, or if we would be, if we would be put down to one of the lower planets, or even, at one of the hellish planets. There is just no guarantee in that. And so that is the reason, people, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he used to go out and Nityananda Prabhu, all the acharyas, they used to just go out doing the loud sankirtan and then just shouting, just Jeev Jago, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up, sleeping souls, because you do not understand that you are living a false life. Just wake up and realize that, all you need to do is just understand that you have God within you, and all you have to do is surrender to that Lord, because we are not independent. We are parts of that Lord. Prabhupada also gives the example of the mother and child in the purport, that, when the child is very little, the child is always with the mother, and the child wants to be with the mother and understand that it cannot live without the mother. But as the child grows up, it becomes slowly detached from the mother, slowly and slowly. And that is where a bit of a disconnection happens. So similarly, when we are God conscious, when we understand what is our natural constitution, we realize that we have to be totally dependent on the Supreme Lord. That is our only way out, and there isn't any other way. As also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita 18.65, what the Lord says, and Prabhupada has mentioned that in the purport as well, that 1865, Man mana bhava mad bhakta madhyaji mam namaskuru, mam eva sasi satyante pratijane priyosime. A very, very important verse, which is repeated twice in the Bhagavad Gita, and the second time and first time, I think, in the 9th chapter, and the second time in the 18th chapter, that where Krishna tells Arjuna, always think of me, become my devotee, worship me, and offer your homage unto me. This, by doing this, you will come to me without fail. And Krishna is telling Arjuna very, very confidently, if you worship me, if you pay offer your prayers to me, you will come to me without fail. And without fail, that is Krishna's words. And he says, I promise this to you because you are my very dear friend. And this is Krishna's promise to not just his dear friend, but because Arjuna is representing all of us, this is Krishna's promise to all of us. All we need to do is just connect to Krishna. Just realize that he is our only shelter, and we cannot survive without him. He's been extremely kind even to people who do not believe in him. He's so merciful. He gives them the air to breathe. He gives them shelter, food. And people don't even realize that. And people just take things for granted. And all that the Lord wants, and as we say over and over again, the Lord has everything. He creates everything. So he has everything. We can't give anything to him. The only thing he really wants from us is our love for him. And that is something he doesn't have. And that is something, because he's so hungry for our love, he even came down as Mahaprabhu just to taste that, how to be a devotee and how to love the Lord, because that is the only thing that he lacks. So that is what he's telling us, that just worship me, just pray. And by worshiping him, we know that how we can worship the Lord in the various rasa. We can, whether we want him as a friend, as a child, or we want to worship him in the Shantaras or neutrality, or we want to worship him as in Dasyaras or as a servant like Hanuman, or as Sakya, as a friend, as Arjuna, or as a parent, as Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj, or the highest form of rasa, the conjugal love, or the bhakti, the prema bhakti, or madhurya ras. So we can have that connection with Krishna in any way we want, but that is what we want. So in the previous verses, and even in this verse, Sukdev Goswami is implying that, yes, please live with the bare minimum. Do not spend a lot of things on excesses, getting material things, because all of those you will not be able to take with you. They are not eternal. They will vanish just like you will as soon as this life goes. But what will remain is your bhakti. So all that we are being told is that give up those excess things, but what Sukdev Goswami is implying, and what Prabhupada also has explained in the purpose in the previous verses and over here, is that nowhere are we told by Krishna to give up everything. We have to understand that Krishna is our father, and we come from Krishna, he's our parent. And just like a parent wants to give happiness to a child, Krishna is more eager to give us happiness than even us wanting that happiness with eagerness. Krishna is a zillion times more eager to give us happiness. So as a parent, he does not want us to live in poverty. He does not want us to suffer at all. So he sends us to this material world as a kind of to reform us. Just like we go, there are people who go to the prison, and there are lots of activities that are done to reform them, so that when they are out, they do not go back to the prison again. Similarly, when the jivas come to this material world, we know that we go through various challenges in our lives or miseries in our life, because as in Bhagavad Gita chapter 8, Krishna does mention that what is this material life? It is a dukhalayam ashvasvatam. It is a land of misery. So in this land of misery or world of misery, we will come across this, but these are only done. Krishna gives us this suffering only to reform us, but at the end of the day, he wants to give us happiness. And because he wants to give us happiness, he wants us to live comfortably. He wants us to give up those excesses, but he wants us to live happily. He wants us. So when people talk about renunciation, when people think, well, if they read the verses, the previous verses in this chapter of giving up everything, if Sukdev Goswami's message was taken at face value, people would say, oh, so I have to give up everything. I have to become a renunciate and, just go to the Himalayas and pray over there. But that is not the purpose. That is not what is being told to us. To become a renunciate is not to give up everything, because then your primary object in life would be that, oh, I have given up everything for Krishna. And for Krishna becomes secondary, because we are constantly thinking of, oh, I have had to give up those things because I wanted to serve Krishna. However, what we really need to do, what this verse is telling us, that by wanting to worship Krishna, by realizing that Krishna is within us, and by wanting to worship Krishna, put Krishna at the center of your life. Make Krishna the main thing. So when Krishna becomes the main thing and the center of our lives, when we give up other things, those other things become secondary. And we don't even notice when we are giving up those excesses, because those are secondary, because serving Krishna is the primary. So when we think, okay, so I'm going to a kirtan today, and I'm not watching one of my favorite TV programs, I am giving up watching that TV program because I want to go to the kirtan. So going to the kirtan and connecting with Krishna becomes primary, and giving up your watching your TV program becomes secondary, and you don't even think about it, because the kirtan has taken precedence over the other materialistic thing. So similarly, whatever we do, whether we are at work, or whether we are at home, our relationships, we serve, as we say, as this verse also reminds us, our natural constitution is Jiver Swarupaya Krishna Nityadash, is to serve others. But instead of serving just the materialistic things, or just, our relations, relatives, our colleagues or people around in our lives, or serving, material objects or senses, just to satisfy our senses, let us direct or signpost that serving, take that away from our own and direct that towards Krishna. So when we signpost that serving attitude towards Krishna, everything falls into the right place. And that eternal bliss, that bliss which we are always looking for, that knowledge and happiness and eternity that we are looking for, we automatically start experiencing that in our heart. Just as Krishna gave the knowledge of truth, the absolute truth, and the knowledge of creation to Brahma, Etene Brahma Vidya. So in the heart of Lord Brahma, similarly, from sitting within our heart, the super soul of Krishna within our heart, the Paramatma, gives us the knowledge to understand what the reality is, what is our natural constitution, the who am I, why are we here, what is our connection with God, what should we do. All that comes from within us, and the Lord that makes us understand that. So I mean, we can take our own example. When we first came into Krishna consciousness, the first Krishna class or the first Krishna Katha we heard, did we understand everything over there? And then compare it to now. We may still be very, very beginners in our understanding. I mean, I can only speak for myself. We can be beginners in our understanding of Krishna Katha, but at the same time, we can see that there has been there's been a journey. There's been a journey from that starting point of that first Krishna Katha, or the first Krishna class, up until now. And who is directing, who is driving, who's the driver for that journey? No one but the Krishna sitting in our heart, who the more we listen, the more we hear, Krishna from within her heart helps us in realizing our natural constitution better and better and better, and directs us towards the truth. As long as we stick to that truth, as long as we don't indulge in, excessive materialistic things, or wanting to satisfy our own senses, as long as we signpost it to the right direction. And the truth, So what is the conclusion of all of this? So what is the last point in all of this? This verse is saying that yes, realize that Krishna is in our heart. Please do realize that Krishna is the ultimate goal of our life and worship him. And what is the third thing? Only by worshipping him, only by surrendering unto him, one can end this conditional state of existence. Only by doing that, only by surrendering to Krishna, we will not get the knowledge of truth by surrendering to anybody else, anything else in this material life, because nothing in this material life is permanent. Everything comes to an end. So only and only when we surrender to Krishna can our conditioned soul, which has been conditioned over millions and zillions of lifetimes, and there's dirt and dirt and dirt around it, just like, you know, a mirror is covered by dirt. And when we surrender to Krishna, we associate with devotees, we take part in anything related to Krishna consciousness. We follow the maybe not all the 9 parts of Shravanam, Kirtan, and Vishnu Swaranam, but even if a few, even the first few, or even if by Shravanam, even by listening and talking about Krishna, hearing and remembering Krishna at all times, we will be able to surrender, and we will be able to come out of this conditioned life slowly and slowly, definitely, slowly but steadily, but definitely. So this is what the verse is telling us, that, you know, please, this is the only and only solution of coming out of this conditional life, coming out of this conditional state of existence. And Krishna, as Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in one of his songs, that, you know, Avashray Rakshave Krishna, Avashray, definitely Krishna will protect us, as Krishna says himself in the Bhagavad Gita, as we just heard, that I will protect you. I will definitely protect you. Just believe in me. And this belief is so important. It's so important, as Prahlad Maharaj teaches his classmates, that, you know, believe in the Lord, and he shows it to even his father, how much he believes in the Lord. You know, when his father was throwing him from atop a mountain, there was Lord Krishna, there was him standing at the foothills of the mountain, going, you know, from side to side, just to hold Prahlad Maharaj when he falls from the top. So, you know, the Lord is more worried about us. And as one of the Prabhujis was mentioning a lovely pastime the other day in one of the classes, that when the Pandavas, when Duryodhana decided to kill the Pandavas, and he told Bhishma to kill the Pandavas, and Krishna heard of it, he rushed to the Pandavas and he told, oh, just, why are you guys sleeping? Just wake up, wake up. Did you not hear? You know, you're all going to be killed tomorrow. And the Pandavas said, oh, Krishna, let us sleep, let us sleep. You know, why should we worry? Why should we worry when you are with us? It is your headache. It is your headache to take care of us, because you love us and we know you love us. So when we have that belief in you, when we have that faith in you, why should we worry? So our problem is that we are not able to muster or give or have that faith in Krishna, of that unwavering faith in Krishna, that definitely and definitely, if we follow the path of Dharma, if we are doing the right things, if we always remember Krishna and never forget Krishna, then Krishna will definitely protect us. As the washerman asked or requested Lord Ramchandra to give him the boon of not anything else, not any material things, but give him the boon of having unwavering faith in him. Not the washerman, he's the I think he was the person who made garlands. So when Lord Ramchandra was going around his kingdom once, he came across one of his devotees who used to make garlands, the Malaka, yes, the Malaka. And when asked, what would you want from me, the Malaka, or the person, the devotee who made garlands for the Lord, said, I only want to be blessed with unwavering faith in you, no matter what conditions I go through life. And I know I will go through various challenges in life because this is the material world. And, just as we have seen in Bhagavad Gita chapter 2, Krishna says, happiness and distress comes to us like seasons, one comes after the other. So the Malaka says, I know there will be happiness, there will be sorrow, there will be happiness and sorrow, but all I want from you, Lord, is that unwavering faith in you, that whatever situation I go through in life, I never ever lose faith in you. And I always remember that whatever is happening to me is happening for my good, because it could have happened, it could have been worse, but you are minimizing it because you are so kind and you are so merciful. So this is the message that we have to always understand. We have to realize that the Lord is within us. The Lord understands, just as the Lord understands the gopis. Similarly, the Lord understands what was in the heart of the gopis and Radharani when he was leaving Vrindavan. Or when the gopis and Radharani, when they went to meet Krishna in Kurukshetra, Krishna could feel the pain in their heart because Krishna was within their heart. And that is the reason Krishna was so unhappy, even when, Krishna always used to think about the gopis when he was in Dwarika. And, his queens used to ask him, in his sleep, he used to talk about Radharani of the gopis. And he even sent Uddhav to Vrindavan just to take care of the gopis, and just to mention to them and just to find out how the gopis and Radharani were. So Krishna is within our hearts. He understands whether we are thinking good. He understands whether we are thinking bad. Krishna will always protect us if we surrender unto him. And by surrendering to Krishna, by worshipping Krishna, that is whether we think of him in our heart or whether we go to the temple. And Prabhupada also mentions in the purport that, just by realizing that Krishna is in our heart, that is great. That's brilliant. But that doesn't mean that we have to completely forego going to the temples, and we mustn't go to the temples. We can definitely go there. Because that is another form of Krishna. Krishna has been so merciful in coming to us and giving us his deity form, so that we can see the visual form of Krishna. Because we are such conditioned soul, we do need the deities. So we have to understand Krishna within our hearts. Similarly, we can definitely go to places of worship, whether it's the temple, whether it's, associating with other devotees and talking about Krishna, being in the same place. But we can do it whichever way do it. The main thing is understanding that we are parts and parcels of Krishna. We are not independent. We have to surrender to Krishna, and Krishna is always with us. We are never, ever alone. So that is the core learning that Sukdev Goswami is trying to tell us, and Prabhupada is trying to tell us through this verse. So with these points, I conclude my discussion over here. Please forgive me if I've made any mistakes anywhere, and please do correct me if I've gone wrong. Hare Krishna. If there's any
Hare
reflections
Krishna.
and things, yeah.
Hare Krishna, Panchali Mataji, thank you so much. I'm just wondering one thing, even though you are in such a situation, you rush through emergency, you rush to India, right? Still, you hold and giving this class, and you explain so nicely. There is no room for question. There is no room for realization. Because you have put like everything, you chewed everything and you put in our brain. So if someone doesn't understand, I'm sorry to say, maybe they were not listening. But I'm so happy to hear your class. Thank you so much. It was so nice.
Mataji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna Mataji. Thank you. Whatever I'm able to say, as I keep saying, whatever I'm saying is all with the blessings of all of you and of my Guruji and of Radha and Krishna. Had they not wanted me to speak, I wouldn't even have been able to say anything. So thank you, Mataji, for your kindness. And
thank you. No, thank you. Sometimes we prepare, we get ready, we get everything, and then suddenly there is no internet, there is no electricity, there is no power cut, and there is no, something happens. But look at your situation. That really Krishna wants you to propagate his name and fame. That's why he's giving you this opportunity also. It's great, it's Kartik month, and you are telling Krishna Katha. You are blessed. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Mataji, for your kind words and blessings. Thank you, Mataji. Is there any question or any further reflections? Yeah. Kirtik Mataji.
Thank you very much, Mataji. Sorry, I can't switch on my video. I have too many visitors behind me, but everybody's listening to your class. We have no questions, but I can request Parth Prabhu. Prabhu, are you able to end this session for us today? And I would like to welcome all the devotees from Arya Govind Prabhu. Thank you very much for joining in the class today. And I hope you can continue every time. I hand over to Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you, Mataji, for your nice and wonderful class. Really, it is already Indulekha Mataji told. It was very nice class. You are very, very easily and very simply you describe what are the three things the important. Like the first in this verse, like the first one is the Krishna, the super soul, is situated in everybody's heart or everybody's. And also second is he is the ultimate goal of everyone. And third is only by the worship of the God or the devotional service, one can attain the supreme abode or end of this material life or conditional life. So thank you very much, Mataji, for your nice class and so many examples you give in here. And it is very easy to understand what is the relationship with us, the Supreme God. And thank you very much, Mataji, once again. Also, thanks all the devotees who joined me here in this Bhagavatam Katha. Today also a special day of the Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj Disappearance Day. Kartik month is there. Also starting of the Bhishma Panchak. So many things are there. So thanks very much to everyone, all the devotees here. So I request everyone, please unmute yourself and chant Hare Krishna mantra for a glorification of our grace. Panchali Mataji, please join. Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Pancha Kalpa Tarubhyasya
Sandhu Vaivata
Patitanam Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Grace Panchali Mataji ki jai.
Jai. Grantharaj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank you, Prabhuji and Mataji.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mataji.